Hello, everyone. So far, our jury participants are sitting down. We'll tell a bit how all of that was going on and how it will go on now, because it's the final. Today, we'll have the fate of those three finalists. It's the moment we were waiting for a long time. Pasha, would you tell the mechanics for our guests not to be shocked? Yes, thanks. You said that this moment was long waited. There will be 3 minutes for each team, and then each participant of the jury can ask one question for 2 minutes only, as it's so very quickly and very intense, and I do hope it will be very efficient. Our teams are very worried now too. They're still standing here. They had our incubation project for 2 months. For those 2 months they grew up. I can see it from my own opinions. That's a small secret because their progress is real. Some of them had not created their prototypes. They issued the beginning of their project. They will tell about that on their own. They are not only skillful guys and girls, but very active and have not only a civil position, which is rather active, but their understanding and oversight is very innovative. That's why we were glad to communicate with them and cooperate with them. That's why I'd like to come to the interesting moment. Hart Willis from USAID is one of the participants of our jury. Victor Lach, president of the Foundation of Eastern Europe. Denis Gursky, the founder of 1991. Richard Sterling, consultant of ODI. And Katerina Nologvu, the head of the Open Data Tapas project. And also Alexander Radchenko from the State Agency of E-Governance will join them, but a bit later. So the teams, are you ready? Okay. So here I'm inviting Court on the Palm. Sudna Doloni, first team, is on the stage. Let's give them a round of applause. So a short break. We'll take the clip and we'll begin with the presentation. So we'll begin. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kirill Zakharov, and I'm the representative of the team, which is more than for 8 years is working with lawyers and took part in lots of court trials for lots of time. So we'd like to tell you about our project, which has the name The Court on the Palm. It's an analytical tool which is created to research, to search, and visualize the court verdicts. One of the problems of the Ukrainian law is the lack of transparency and consequency of the usage of law. The same judge having the same legislation norms and arguments can take the totally contradictory decisions, verdicts. That's why the lawyers spend lots of time for non-loyal work. They are sitting for hours in the register of court verdicts, trying to tell how this or that judge will behave. That's why we decided to create a resource which will analyze the judge practice in several clicks. How it will work? First of all, we're taking the text of the court verdict and posting them and getting the useful information out of that. The information about the third part, about all of them, about the results. So this gained information is connected with the open data from all of the registered published by the state. This data is from the Central Election Committee and agencies and Ministry of Justice and so on and so forth. The information which we got gives the user the opportunity to search through the endless number of filters which are responsible has a response for the biggest requests of and to find the unobvious, non-obvious connections between the participants of the court process, and the modules of operational statistics, which will help us how the Ukrainian law is being given. So our target audience are the lawyers, which are giving the services to the sides of the court process, the journalists, which are having investigations on the from the court registers, and NGOs, which are dealing with the court reforms. You can see the figures. Those are the data of the qualitative research and the support from these target audiences. If we speak about the market, Ukraine has 20,000 of enterprises which are working in the law. So it's 20 to 80 million of hryvnia. This is the estimation. We're having competitors. They created e-register and the companies Liga Zakon and Antares, but still we have certain advantages. We are planning to have the biggest amount of the court and other open data in the one solution, an intuitively simple and comfortable interface, and cross-platform solution on any gadget. And business model is freemium, that is, the basic functions is given for free and additional as for the monthly subscription. Where we are now. For the incubation time, we began our campaign in the media. We had the qualitative research and we had the business model developed, and now we have the back end of our application and its design. We plan to add geolocation, and this is our team, Kirill Zakharov, who's analyzing the web development and statistics, and Olga Bugay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the jury? Microphone. Thank you so much. That's a cool presentation. Why do you need the data of the Central Election Committee? I'm just interested. And your audience you're thinking about. As for the support of your project in the category of premium, who will pay? Okay, the first question is for the data from the Central Election Committee. As I mentioned, we are trying to take the court verdicts, all the useful information from the court verdicts, which can be connected with any other data. If we speak about the election system, we can always find the number of the election departments or parts of the country, which can be easily interconnected with the data of the election committee, and to understand according to each part whether this is the 10th election campaign is there, whether it's fair or not fair on a certain part of the country, and what we can wait for them. As for the second question about the stakeholders, we said that the commercial version of the product would be interesting for the lawyers, which to understand how the judge will act. Sometimes they have to spend from 8 to 16 hours in the court register to find the necessary information because the search is not precise and very limited. We give this certain broaden opportunities as for the search of the solutions and work with them. And the model of statistics, we can open the certain judge profile and to see how often he is linked with this or that law, if he's professional in this or that topic, what's the longitude of his certain of court trial. So the system gives the lawyers, well, at least the Swiss knife. Thank you, Kirilo. Thank you so much too. And now we're inviting Alexander Tereshchenko, who will present the project of BIM City. Hello. My name is Alexander Tereshchenko with the project of BIM City. This is a visual model of the city. Living in the beautiful cities, there are happy people. This is our main message. Who loves our cities? Me, and I love my city too, but we've got several problems too. Click. It doesn't work. Finally. So we don't know how to maintain with the bigger scales of the city. We have some of the failures of the projects. Scandalous projects like the theater on Podil. Unfortunately, we're out of batteries, it seems. Chaos of the buildings and construction sites. Or maybe we should change the battery. And our solution is the virtual model of the city, which allows us to gain and analyze the data about all of the building objects and to maintain them. So what is BIM? It's an informational model with all of this structure, with all of the buildings and constructions, which allows us to generate and gain all the information about the building project, construction project, how it will work. We are getting the existing building site, we are integrating the existing infrastructure of the model of the city, we add the data from the open sources, and then we get the BIM city. Back. So, it's almost like Google Earth, but with the project data about the building sites. Here on this slide, we made the prototype on the example of Zhytomyr, where we integrated the infrastructure project of the quay on the model of the city. Thus, we've got the first prototype of the virtual model. And then we opened more than 800 construction declarations, and now we know who, how, and where is building in each of the city. For Zhytomyr, it's more than 6,000 building declarations. These are data about the building objects. The main target audience is the authorities, which we're focused upon. We're getting an opportunity to visualize the results of decentralization of the authority, which is very relevant now, and also the residents and the city gets the strategy of the development for the next 10, 20, 100 of years. We visualize the future. For the project, we came with the idea. Later on, we processed the data and generated the prototype project. Later on, we are gonna scale ourselves into some different cities of the Ukraine and the world. We need to open the data about the construction sites to have the certain BIM standards issued, and through this expertise to get the virtual projects, with the help of which we'll assemble the whole virtual model of each city. It will help Ukraine, as for Belarus and the UK and any other countries, to save money, and thus we'll get the transformation of the market, so we'll make the reform work. So my team is me, Alexander Tereshchenko. I have more than 10 years of appearance in the building experience. And Katerina Berest, who helped us. Thank you, Alexander. Thanks. Let's support him because he had some technical issues, unfortunately. Are there any questions from the jury, our respectful jury? Please. Would you please tell what's the stage of your project now? Zhytomyr is cool, but the service itself, have you got anything? The service itself, we've developed these declarations, which can be analyzed by the architect of Zhytomyr, so he has an access to get all the objects together from a certain constructor. So we just solved this task working with certain filters. So we have the list of 19 objects about one constructor. So each architect will be able to solve his tasks with the help of this tool. The virtual model, we didn't issue the service itself, but at my blog, you can try to see the whole Zhytomyr model, and you will see how it's going to be implemented. This is the first prototype, which is still not working in the real side, BIM-city.com.ua. So do you have the mechanism? So you can download the data of any city, and then you have the basic model, right? Yes, it is easy. And then the project data will be added. Are there any questions left? No. Thank you, Sasha. So I do invite to the stage Roman Yakovlev, the project of InfoFlow. Thank you. Hello. My name is Roman Yakovlev, and today I will tell you about the project of InfoFlow. The ideal crimes don't exist. The corruptions always have some of the traces online. But this information is disseminated in different resources. So to make it together, you need the puzzle to make it together. Our project gets an opportunity to make it in an easier way. If you're an investigator, you will be interested. If you are the journalist or the civil activist. So the handmade search of information in different resources doesn't save your time, your energy, and you still risk risk to miss something because you couldn't copy something or just forgot something. That is why, to solve this problem, we present here an online tool which brings together the puzzles of information together. It uses open data, it uses the information from the registers, social networks, media, and so on. You turn on through the API, connect through the API and get the information. So let's see how it's working. First of all, the state official announces the bids information, and there is the company which wins. You have some of the suspicions, but still at first you don't see any proofs what's happened. So thanks to the register and information, and from the first and second register, you can see that this state official and the owner of the company have certain property. So this tool already gave you the proper direction of the search. Of course, we have some of the competitors. For instance, 1991 Incubator. Some of them were focused for the public finance, or they don't have an integrated interface. Some of them are on the stage of development. And we also got the international competitors. But what advantages we have? We're giving the access to the necessary resources to get the whole puzzle of corruption together. We create the user-friendly interface to see the picture of corruption. It will be as easy as to call Uber. And we're having the marketing campaign to the social networks, which will provide us with the necessary traffic and to be involved in the work, what can be improved and how we should pay attention to every sphere. Our business model, the standard module is for free, and the high traffic provides the high profit because of the advertisement. The customized module will be for pay. We'll create the pay offer, self-paid startup. We won't we won't stop until when the donor money will be over. First of all, we analyze the methodology of the investigation, we analyze the investigation instruments, then we analyze the open data in Ukraine, and we know what we'll face. And fourth stage, we created the technical model of our project. We are ready for the work. What we need now, we need financial support to develop this tool and to issue this project. Our team is me, Roman Yakovlev, and David Kiziria, an international expert who has some experience in the creation of some systems. We want to create a high-quality tool which will provide the fight with the corruption with your help. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause and support. Are there any questions from the jury? Thank you, Roman. Let's give it a round of applause again. And now Viktor Vishnyov, who will show the open market Vugilla now, which is open market coal. Hello, my name is Viktor Vishnyov. I am the Director General of the State Enterprise Setam. So I'll present today our new project, which has the name Open Market Vugilla, Open Market Coal. I think lots of you getting the different bills for the heating were unpleasantly surprised because of the coal market, which is closed today, and there are certain ununderstandable price-making police which has additional pressure for private consumers. That is why we offer to put the coal bidding to online for everybody to see everything. So we will give an access for smaller and medium consumers to this market, and we will provide the civil control monitoring. Which data we will open? First of all, we'll open the data about all of the players of the market. Then it will be the information about the quality and quantity of the coal extraction according to each enterprise, and the indicators about the sales of all of the projects. Having come to this project with the idea only, and at the beginning stage of the technical realization, we today have the ready product which has the stage of test, final test, and we've signed the first contract with the regional electrical networks, in the framework of which we'll have the first 10,000 tons of coal to sale, and we are waiting for the pilot project with the Ministry of Energy and Coal Industry of Ukraine. Later on, our stock market can be scaled for the wood industry and amber, for instance, which are highly corrupt, unfortunately. We do understand that we have a highly ambitious plan, but we've overcome the multi-million corruption business which was connected with the sales of the arrested property, and today it brings 300 million hryvnia a year, and we have become the first online auction which is using blockchain now. So we don't have an aim we can't perform. We have 150 professionals all over the country in the 23 regions of our country which have the common goal and are ready to work for the result. So we need the costs to have the Ukrainian campaign, all Ukrainian campaign, about the awareness of the population and potential more widely spread nature of our project. This is how the interface looks like now of our stock market module, and this is how the bidding will look like. You can see that during the bidding the price will grow and you'll have the information about the winners. So the test bids is won by 1991, which they get 300,000 tons of anthracite, so they can heat their next following residence. Thank you. Thank you, Victor. What will be the comments or maybe questions from the jury?
A final user of this? Do you see it as businesses, government, journalists? How will this be used to actually fight corruption?
I think it could be used by all businessmen who are in that market now, but who doesn't have an option to get to the producer of coal. That's first of all. And the second is journalists and public sector who can observe all the transaction in that market, really.
Thank you. There's one more question. There is the question, how far can you lead this service? I mean, what are the perspectives in, for instance, 5 years? The perspective in 5 years, I think that we've got these perspectives even before, because we can see all the raw markets for ourselves of Ukraine. What I mentioned is wood, that's ember, that's grain, and for today we have the potential competitors which are regional goods, raw materials, stock markets, which don't grasp the whole Ukraine, but they have a very small grasp of the potential participants. But today, as for the arrested properties, we've got 40,000 of constant clients. Those are professional market players. So I think that scaling onto the different markets, all the professional players will come to our platform. Thank you. Okay, the next team is Dear MPs, or Dear Members of Parliament. Maxim Savanevsky is here. Hello everyone, my name is Maxim Savanevsky. I'm the leading partner of the agency Plus One. This is the digital agency. I think that some of you dreamt how to monitor and control the MPs, so you saw that there is the lack of tools, but still we have the portal of the Parliament, which has wonderful data sets about each of the MPs. We've got lots of data, but we are lazy to get inside and to understand all of that. Still, we have lots of MPs which don't do any of the legislation activities, but there are some of the deputies which do that perfectly. But almost all of them take care about the being public. So we thought how to create the tool which would be fun, easily accessible and useful. We decided to think about the solution. We decided to gamify, to create a game of the data about Verkhovna Rada, to create the unique game which has the name of Dear MPs. So each player has 5 deputies, he buys them, each MP, and then he governs or maintains those 5 MPs. It happens with the help of the real time, and you compete with some other players who have their own 5 MPs. After every MP has his or her own value, it's defined because of the level of how he visits the sessions, votes, registers the legislation law drafts, and their value can increase or decrease. After you formed your team, you can have the whole news feed where you can see the activity of each of your MPs. For instance, his law draft was voted for, or he just missed today's session. So some of the players get the gain bonuses for that. You can also do bonuses for some negative actions. If, for instance, he, for 100 of years, he didn't register a single project, you can get bonus for that too. You can call him. You can send him email, you can send him a private message through Facebook Messenger, you can create a post on Facebook. All of that is implemented in the framework of our application. Each MP has his or her own profile where you can follow whether his price is increasing or not. You've got the ranking of the MPs, there are top players, and you can check your friends who are using this application. This application will be accessible on 2 platforms. We think that active people will be taking part in that. More than 10,000 of assistants of MPs, and the MPs themselves can do that. At the drgdp.com you can register, so we'll have the better software now, and up to the end of 2017 we'll come to the public access. In 2018 there will be some shop and badges. We've got a very nice, just a chic team which deals. So drgdp.com, please register. You will be the participant of the beta testing what the MPs are doing. Thank you. Let's support them. Thank you, Maxim. Are there any questions for the speaker? There are no questions. Everything is so wonderfully pitched. There is one question.
Do with the money that I earn in the...
Окей. Гроші, які ви отримуєте в грі, це є віртуальна валюта. У нас в 18-му році
The money you're getting is the virtual currency. We're having this certain shop in 2018 where you will be able to spend your money only for the badges. For instance, to put some clothes on the MP, to give them certain interesting equipment, and of course you will be able to... The value of each MP depends on how much money you have. In the beginning, you can buy 1 expensive and 4 cheap MPs, not more. But gradually, you will be able to buy 5 best MPs, then even to buy the 6th deputy or the 6th MP. As for the monetization, we don't foresee any monetization of this platform at all. It's a fan thing which helps to develop the social society and civil society, and it makes our life fun. And so the whole game mechanics foresee that the people will be actively spreading the information, what is going on with your MP. For instance, your MP didn't come to the session of the Verkhovna Rada, you will have the notification. Your MP is absent, so with 1 click you can post in Facebook that this MP missed the session. Oh my god. Or you can send him a private message. Thank you. drgdp.com. Once again. A question which I already asked in the beginning of this challenge. The first, won't you have any of the court appeals from the MPs? And we are fighting. We are fighting the idea that the MPs can be sold, and now you're stimulating that the MPs can be sold. It's not the right thing to do, it's the wrong thing to do. No, we don't do that. We want to, for the MPs to be responsible in front of the users. Yes, there is the TV show, Dear MPs, it's on the TV. We had the working name, Dear MPs, there was no sense to change it so far. But when we'll have the final version, we'll take the final decision not to have any lawsuits from this TV show. So far, drgdp.com, where you can register for the beta testing. If there are no more questions left, thank you. And Alexei Dorohan will present the project of Start Business Challenge now. Hello, how to open the business and to be corresponded to all of the requirements of the law. Each businessman knows that there are 2 types. There is the Google, who has the fragmented or obsolete information, and the intermediates, which need money. If we don't have the money for intermediates, the person can go to the Google and go along the offices. But still, he'll be refused because the information is wrong, so he becomes the shadow or gray and entrepreneur, and it's bad for all of us. In a year and a half, we understood in BRDO that whether the rules are good or bad, if people don't understand them, they won't fulfill them. So we created an online service to get all the information how to open your business in several clicks. This information will be true, verified, relevant. It will be written in a comprehensible language for the people, and all of that is for free. How we do that? Our experts analyze the legislation as they open it, they link that, and they create the instruction themselves. We assess the business at least for 20,000 plus new registrations a month, but we do understand that at least 5 of them were thinking about that and refused, and we are ready to open our data too. This is how the our interface looks like. So we are answering several questions, which lets us understand better which kind of business you're planning to open, with alcohol or without, and so on. The final instruction depends on that. So now one instruction can have thousands of different combinations. To the left, you have the stages you have to overcome, and to the right, where you should go, how long to wait, what to prepare, which forms to fill in, and so on. Having this instruction, the entrepreneur has the super strength. He's a legal entrepreneur, and he won't give any bribes. What's the use for the product? It's the saving of money and times. This is more legal business, which leads to the economical growth and is good for all of us. What we done? Yesterday we had a powerful issue, so we were supported by the high officials in our country. We had this service with the 15 kinds of business and 3 regional pilots, how to open the restaurant in Vinnytsia, in Mykolaiv, and Chernivtsi. So why are we here? We need some funds to make the story successful in the long-term perspective, because it's possible only if the state authorities are working in it and having relevant information for that. Then we need money for this functional and administration works and some additional functioning. I was so quick for you to have enough time to get to this web link, because in comparison with all the other projects, you can go to this link and open your own business. We do understand that Ukraine needs entrepreneurs. We do hope that you will become them. Thank you. Thank you, Alexei. As Michael Schur said, you can speak for 5 seconds more. So what are the questions? What open data are you using? We are using the database of the legislation of Ukraine, Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. We are using the data sets of Ministry of Justice and the State Register for the statistics and for the analytics. And we are using some other statistical sources which show the situation according to the types of business, which business we choose to process. Are there any more questions? How will you provide the sustainability of the project? The main way to the sustainability is not the NGO with monetization through the additional services, because then we will lose the verification, the trust, because this service should be given by the state. We see the long-term strategy for this service, for the state officials to approve and to support this information in the relevant state. When the law is changed, the state official has an alert whether anything is changed or not. That's why we involve as many ministries and state officials as possible. We've created the pilot with the functional analysis in the ministry in the framework of the reforms of public administration. So we're having more than 100 of state officials working in our system. They have such an experience. And the sustainability in the medium-term perspective, we have a wonderful donor, and the program which funds us is EU for Business, and we will really look closer at the activities which are covered by our existing programs. If we win, we would use this financing funds for those activities I've mentioned for you. Would you tell, please, when you use open data and do analytics out of them, why do you need this analysis for the end user? For you to choose which business to register, or to help the business which has already defined? what he needs to do. I understand your question. There are several options. If you want to open the business, we can have the Blitz pool, an express pooling. Lots of people who wanted to open a business here, they're afraid of bureaucracy and corruption. They need to be sure that they won't have any problems with the law. We're giving this assuredness. All of these procedures which are gathered in one place, the entrepreneur can be sure that he's done everything which is needed. This need isn't covered by any existing service because every institution is covering his procedure, but he doesn't give the big picture. He doesn't help in the discoverability. This is the key part we are giving. If I may, I can tell you the procedure which I already digitalized with the participants of the e-governance. We're saying, guys, please go through this procedure online. So we are not competing and we are not overlapping. And the existing business can check whether they are legal having this way from the beginning to the end and seeing which procedures they had to overcome. In this way, thus, they could legalize themselves. So those are the businessmen who would like to open the first business, the businessman who would like to open an additional business, and the businessman who would like to understand whether they are violating some of the laws, whether they have to change something. Thanks, Alexei. Thanks. I do invite Alexander Krakovetsky here, who is representing the team of DonorUA. Good afternoon. 33 donations, blood donations for 1,000 of residents a year is the norm for the developed countries. In Ukraine, this figure is only 13.3 donations for 1,000 residents. This information has been taken after the analysis of the open data of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, and comparing this data with the same data of European countries, we can be sure when we are saying that the situation with the donors, blood donors in Ukraine, is rather bad. There are lots of reasons why it's happening. First of all, is the lack of the only unique interoperable register of blood donors. This is the relatives donorship, when the recipients have to find the donors on their own, and the low motivation of the donors to give blood. These problems can be decided with the help of the solution. The clever automatized system of DonorUA is the platform which unites the donors, the recipients, the hospitals, the blood centers, and social responsible business. DonorUA is the only entry point for all of the participants. It's interoperable, transparent, and multi-channeled. We've got a bonus program for donors. We've got the hotline. We've got DonorUA bot. We've got this monitoring of social networks, which allows us in real time to monitor the requests for blood donor search. And the main thing, that our system is automatized and clever one. I can be sure that today DonorUA is one of the most technological projects for the social topic, both in Ukraine and beyond its borders. We've got some competitors which can solve these or those problems in these or those branches, but only DonorUA project deals with the creation of ecosystem of donorship in Ukraine. The progress for the recent 2 years was rather substantial. For today, we're having more than 14,000 donors in our database, more than 1,400 found donors through our system, and the most important thing, we managed to decrease the search of the donor from several days to several hours. The business model is very easy. We want to work with our state, with the state bodies, and with the social active business. We are having partners with which we are together having certain events and developing our system. In the framework of 1991 Open Data Incubator, we've got great experience. We've created lots of good things, and we want to do more. First of all, we'd like to finish the implementation of the doctor cabinet. We want to automatize the recruiting of donors through the social networks, and we want to become part of the all-Ukrainian system of e-health. The team has the technical specialists and the people who are working in the sphere of blood donors since 2007. Please register in our system and save lives. Thank you. Thanks, Alexander. Are there any questions for the speaker?
Thank you very much. Question, how do you plan to integrate this into the e-health system, especially as we don't know what that'll look like yet?
How to integrate what?
Your DonorUA site into the current health reforms and the e-health system that's coming up.
Okay, so our system has an open API, and we already integrated it to Kyiv Smart City. We already integrated to the smart portal that is working in Ukraine, and we already have a cabinet of blood center, and several blood centers already added information to our system. So we plan to add at least 20-30 blood centers to our system in the next year. And of course, we implement the API and international standards, so we can get information inside our system, and of course, we can take this information and give this information to other system. So this is the first thing that we want to make it to make this project interoperability.
What information would you like to have with these projects involved? Because you have a very sensitive information, right? Yes, you're right. We want to work in the legal framework, in the framework of the system. We can be the part of the e-card of the recipient. So we've got the story of the blood donations. We can download this information. And secondly, what's the direction of our movement? We'd like to to take away all the personal data and to think about the logistics after the changes of the legislation. It should be changed in the framework of the EU-Ukraine Association. So we'd like to create the proper logistical models for the blood to get to different regions, not like the situation like it happens like here, when sometimes they have to pour away the blood and some other regions lack them. You told that your project is in Ukraine for a very long time, so it should be integrated with the state already. What I mean, do you have certain constant cooperation with certain state institutions, for instance the Ministry of Healthcare, which should use all the results of the projects which exist for a long time to automatize the blood centers and as for the gaining of information? I will tell as following. We have some cooperation with some of the centers, blood centers, and yes, we do communicate with the Ministry of Healthcare for this system to be integrated in each center, but it happens rather often. This process is not so easy and not that quick, but we are trying to move into this direction. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause to Alexander. I'm giving the floor to Denis, who will give you the project Штрафы or Fines UA. Hello, my name is Denis Dmitrov. I'm the head of the payment informational service Fines UA, Штрафы UA. Every day we help the drivers to pay for the fines, and as for this year we managed to earn 1.5 million of hryvnia and to become the best services for the fines in the country. But increasing the paying situation as for the fines, we are not influencing the quantity of those fines. But because of the violation of those rules, we are having the catastrophes. So according to the Ministry of Internal Affairs data, 54,000 people suffered because of the different problems. So the usage of the cell phone during the drivers was the main reason of why it happened, and 90% of the catastrophes are deeply connected with the low culture of the driving. So today this problem can be solved by the society through the social networks, changes through the laws, administrative punishments, and other prevention actions. Of course, it's efficient, but we are offering an additional channel of influence onto the drivers, which can be not less efficient thanks to personalization. That's a new function in our current application, which we named Safe Driving. That's a unique technology of mobile tracking, which evaluates the quality of your driving without installing additional functions. The driver, first of all, gives his consent that he is responsible and takes part in this campaign. Every time he does that, the system counts the psychological type of this driver and some other projects, and in the end he has the personalized notifications with the recommendations ranking of this drive. And I must say that even sometimes good motivation is that the notification that you're driving in an improper way. But now in the ranking of the drives of the ranking, we have the overall ranking of each driver and gives an additional discount for insurance or any other partner bonus as an additional motivation. The data we are having is depersonalized, and we are opening this data for society and the state. We are now on the stage of testing of MVP for the first 300 users. We will do it for the platform of iOS. Depending on the money we get, maybe we will be able to create more and quicker. But with the minimal sum, we'll do it a bit slower. Our team always achieves the aims we're having, and with your help, we will be able to do it much quicker and cooler. Thank you. And you've got 30 seconds to speak, and the jury can think whether they gonna ask anything.
A similar application anywhere else in the world? Is this something new, or are you basing it on something that already exists?
Да, это
Yes, in fact, for today, it's a world practice. Everywhere in the world, the drivers are being motivated. There are lots of companies which evaluate the style of driving and use that in different branches to influence lots of factors. They motivate the drivers both by the insurance, bonuses, and so on. Denis, it was a cool idea to use the potential of the insurance companies, but I didn't hear that in the pitch. We work with the insurance companies, that's true. So today in the morning I had the meeting in the Motor Transport Bureau of Ukraine and with the head, and we discussed this question to begin doing that, maybe not through certain insurance company, but to give the people to change and to choose insurance companies, not for us to be dependent on a certain insurance company. So we had a very productive meeting today. Thank you, Denis. Thank you to you too. So I invite to the stage the next team, which is the team of Blue Liner, and Maria Kyriak will present it. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Kyriak. My last year and a half was in the position of the main engineer in Bila Tserkva trolleybus department, so I know if the passenger is waiting for the transport, the director of tram trolleybus department, it's a problem, because if you don't have the transport, the passenger will go to the short bus, and so you can lose the money. If between the structural departments you have a weak communication, you will have the decrease of the productivity of the enterprise. You have to solve these problems in a complex way. So this is the solution of ours. Our system is the reflection of the work of the transport on one screen. Here on this slide you can see the picture of the driver of the tram. Her name is Tatiana Lementar from Drushkovka city, Donetsk region. Her tram has our system, which allows to tell you about certain notifications about the timetable. This is the the window and certain geolocation data, and the driver sends certain notifications. The operator sees where the transport is and governs the whole process. This is the first time when the data of GPS monitoring data is becoming open data, because it gives to the civil society a wonderful tool to control the transport, the amount, the quantity of transports, the time of their work. Also, the business has the accounting of the spare parts and maintenance works. Our system gives an opportunity for wonderful analysis. And if we speak about our business model, we are selling the system depending on the quantity of the transport. Our competitors are the enterprises which give the services of GPS monitoring of transport, and our main competitive advantage is the qualification of our team. I'm the head, Alexander Tikhanyuk is the developer, Valery Golovchenko and Tatiana Drozdenko are our consultants. Here you can see our progress. For what's done, I'd like to thank Incubator, because now I'm saying about the achievements, the main of which is the sales of our system in Drushkovka city. In Drushkovka, we saw this interesting tendency. If the passengers and the workers are feeling attention, the whole attitude to the municipality is been changing into the tram in particular. For us, it was really pleasant. So for the closest 3 months, we'd like to add some functionality for our solution. We'd like to have sales in Lviv, Zaporizhia and Artyomovsk. And now Bakhmut. Those are the cities which are interested in our solution. Of course, we need funding for that. So, esteemed guests and jury participants, I ask you to support our project, because we want to give our solutions for some other cities of Ukraine, giving the high-quality product. Thank you. I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the jury? There are no questions. Thank you so much. And now please Yuri Levchenko to the stage, who will present the last project for today, RIPsearch. Hello everyone, my name is Yuri Levchenko, I'm the head of the project RIPsearch. Our team at the challenge, we had only an idea when we came, which emerged because I personally couldn't find the place where my first teacher was buried, so I thought maybe we should develop a very interesting tool for all of the citizens, because it's very difficult to get this data for everyone. This is an informational analysis which could help find the burial places and the possibility how to order the service of equipment of the certain graves. And Vinnytsia City Council is our partner, so we found the stakeholders. How we opened the data, we worked with public utilities, which have the registers not only in the paper kind, because it was always a problem for them, and we had some polling among the citizens for them to understand maybe it could be a separate idea only and a separate problem, but we could see that half of the people who visit the graves of their relatives, they unfortunately face this problem. This is how our resource looks now. You can always place an application here or find an exact location of the map, and you can find the certain cemetery in the certain part of the city or of the country. You have the personal cabinet, which you can enter with the help of the e-signature. Today, we have even the department of the perished warriors in the war conflicts in our country. So we're having certain monetization and automatization of the content of registration of the burials and the advertisement for the resource. What we need, money to work this resource through, to interlink it with and the trainings with our workers. Further on, we are planning to turn on the work with 3,000-4,000 of companies and to involve the advertisement campaign. Today the company is as follows: 3 people which are working constantly and several experts which are helping us to implement. Several words from our partners. Unfortunately, the same registers exist since the 19th century. So we have the modern alternative now, because the responsible people will have this register in the e-format, and everybody who wants will have a possibility to find a necessary burial place in 2 clicks. The project RIPsearch is not only the data about all of the modern burial places in Vinnytsia, it's also the information about all of the cemeteries and necropoles beginning with the 18th century. It is the basics for the historical researchers, for the genealogical interest, and just for people who are interested in the history of your family and your own. And also we have the deputy of the city mayor, Vladislav Skalsky, here. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. What would be the questions from the jury? Well, of course, I've got the question about the sustainability and monetization of your project. What do you think? Well, in fact, monetization of this project is obvious. The companies which are interested in this register, because when we personally, during the meetings with the company, looked how this data was, well, the register, just the book of Vinnytsia, how it's written down, with which handwriting it's even done, they always want to do that. And as they had the new cemetery in Vinnytsia, they had lots of negotiations about those cemeteries. The heads of the companies asked to involve this service for people to see at least certain segments of this cemetery, and there were no questions why here or there the people are buried. So you can see all the information which could be open, so the companies don't want to hide on their own. And the citizens? So the citizens are not target audiences. We foresee only for the citizens which are abroad, which won't be able to, for instance, take care about the graves of their relatives in Ukraine. That's why they sometimes order some of the services through the partners, and we still control the execution of the services. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Thank you, Yuri. So now, on such an optimistic note and a very lively note, I'd like to invite the jury participants for the voting and defining of the winners. And now we're having the coffee break in half an hour.